One of the most important skills to improve and one of the most difficult skills to improve is learning to create more propulsion with the upper body. If we can help swimmers learn to do just that with a simple and effective strategy, that's going to create a whole lot more speed for a whole lot more swimmers. Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. Holding water and learning to feel the water are two concepts that are universally recognized by swim coaches as important for creating speed, yet they can be really difficult to improve. In this video, I'm going to show you one of my favorite strategies to help swimmers learn how to hold more water, create more propulsion with each stroke, and all you need to make it happen is one of the most common training aids in swimming, which is a paddle. Let's check it out. Propulsion equals speed. More is better. Swimmers can never create too much. So one of the goals in training should be helping swimmers learn to create more and more propulsion over time so that they can go faster and faster over time. The more they can create with each arm, the faster they will go. And so no matter how good a swimmer is, there's always more opportunity for them to learn how to move more water, hold more water, and have a more effective pull. No swimmer has it all figured out, and most swimmers you probably work with aren't anywhere close. And so there's a lot of room for improvement, and it's a skill that directly relates to speed. So we have to make sure that increasing propulsion is a key goal, and we want to use strategies that enable that. Of course, that's easier said than done, and it doesn't really happen very often. So why is that the case? Why is it difficult? What are the challenges? First of all, swimmers often can't feel flaws. They've executed the same stroke over and over and over and over again, so it all feels the same. They think they're doing it right because that's how they've always done it. If they can't feel the errors, they can't feel the mistakes, they can't feel the opportunities, they can't take advantage of them because they don't even know they're there. So one of the things we have to do is make swimmers more aware of where they're missing out, more aware of where they can be better. The other challenge is that these opportunities, especially with more advanced swimmers, aren't usually gigantic ones. They're not really obvious, they're relatively nuanced, and that can make it even more difficult to feel. It's not like swimmers are swimming back and forth with a completely horizontal elbow or something similar. It's often relatively subtle things that can be tough to pick out, but do have a big impact. And when there's a lot of little subtle things, that can add up to something big, even if you can't see any one of those skills. And so we have to find ways to help swimmers feel these opportunities to improve that don't necessarily rely on us as coaches just telling them what's wrong and telling them what to do. One strategy that's really effective, really simple, really practical is just to have swimmers use one paddle at a time. So you do the same sets, same expectations, you just have swimmers use one paddle instead of two or instead of none. That way, swimmers can start to feel the difference between their arms. They're used to having a certain rhythm to their stroke, and they're going to do whatever they can to try to maintain that rhythm. They're going to try to maintain more symmetry between the arms. And so if they start holding more water, they start moving more water with that single paddle, they're going to try to find ways to do the same thing with the normal arm. And because they don't have a bigger paddle on that normal arm, they're going to have to start using their forearm. They're going to have to start positioning their arm more effectively. They're going to have to start pulling more effectively. They're going to have to figure something out to get the stroke to feel a little bit more normal for them. And that usually means being more effective with the normal arm. And then you can go back and forth between the arms so you get the impact on both arms and you're forcing them to change what they're doing constantly. They're getting lots of new feedback and that's going to further enhance learning. What's really powerful about this strategy is rather than telling them what to do, you let them feel the opportunity and then you give them the chance to take advantage of the opportunity. And because you're performing the same sets, because you're giving them performance expectations, they're going to learn real quickly what works, what doesn't, based upon the feedback they get after each repetition. Now, you could just have them go back and forth using one paddle at a time and just trying to feel things. I'd rather get a whole lot more out of it. So one way to do that is you always ask for performance. Speed expectations, stroke rate expectations, stroke count expectations, some combination of those. Asking them to perform is going to force them to explore and find ways to be effective with one paddle at a time. That's going to create a much bigger stimulus for change than just letting them swim back and forth, paying attention to what they feel. That's going to really magnify what they feel. They're going to get a lot of sensation. They're going to get very different feedback when they've got both arms working against the resistance, one with a paddle, one without. This is going to really encourage swimmers to create more propulsion because they have to do that in order to overcome the resistance. And when they're using one paddle at a time, again, they're going to be searching for more effective solutions on that non-paddle hand. You can also increase the fatigue. Now you're challenging swimmers to execute under pressure, be more consistent under pressure, and that's going to force them to learn to be more effective as well. So lots of different options, lots of different ways to challenge swimmers. And if you don't challenge them, they're not going to continue learning. So you got to find ways to challenge them. And as an added benefit, you're going to develop great physiology along the way. Here are some simple sets to illustrate these concepts in different contexts. First set, 8100s freestyle, single paddle. They're going to alternate left paddle and right paddle by 100. They're going to descend in pairs at the same stroke count. So they got to get faster without taking more strokes. They got to be more effective with each stroke along the way. And by changing back and forth between the paddles, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. It's going to throw them off of their groove a little bit, and that's going to increase the challenge too. Next set, 3 rounds through, they're going to go 250s backstroke with a buoy and a light parachute. They're going to go odds left paddle, evens right paddle. The first 2 they're going to build. Second 2 they're going to negative split. Next 2 after that, reduce the stroke count. Last 2 they're going to go strong. So they're using the buoy. They can't use their legs. They're using the parachute. They got to overcome the resistance. They got 1 paddle at a time. And they've got different performance expectations they've got to hit along the way. So lots of different challenges in lots of different ways. Next set, they're going to go 4 rounds through, 425s butterfly with a small single paddle. They're going to go 2 right, 2 left, and they're going to go fast at 1.35 seconds per cycle. So not a super fast stroke rate, but they've got to create as much speed at that stroke rate as possible. And they've got to do that with 1 paddle at a time. So they've got to find a way to be symmetrical. They've got to find a way to hold water. They've got to find a way to create speed without just picking up the rate. Then they're going to go 50 butterfly. They're going to start strong, and they're going to descend 1 to 4. They're going to try to put it all together with that 50 butterfly. So lots of different ways to help swimmers improve the amount of propulsion they're creating, all with one single strategy. If you want to learn more about how to help swimmers create more propulsion while using paddles in non-traditional ways, check out the video below.